Hi, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, namaskaram, vanakkam. Welcome to the Pawan Sandhya Sangam Zoom show on this Sunday, 21st of January 2024. This is our show number 108, and we propose to put up more shows as we go along. Well, Professor Google defines nutrition generally. Nutrition is a critical part of health and development. Better nutrition is related to improved infant, child, and maternal health, stronger immune systems, safer pregnancy and childbirth, lower risk of non communicable diseases such as diabetes and cardiovascular disease, and longevity. Healthy children learn better. This is what Professor Google tells us. Well, to know more about nutrition, more so to the elderly people, senior citizens, we have a guest speaker in Vanitha Dutta joining us all the way from Jaipur in Rajasthan. And she'll tell us exactly what nutrition is all about and what should be our nutritious food, so that we can keep ourselves hale and healthy. Well, as usual, we begin the show with a prayer followed by the guest introduction. Then, after the guest speaker takes over and on her completion, we will have an open session where we all can put our views, observation, comments, feedback, and even ask questions to the guest, which the guest will be more than happy to answer. And finally, we'll wrap it up with a summary and vote of thanks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's kickstart the show. Coming up first is the prayer. Mrs. Nirmala Gurunathan joining us from Bengaluru will sing the prayer for us. Nirmala, madam, kindly unmute your mic and go ahead.
மதுரைவ துணை மதுரைவ மீனலோச்சனி துணை மதுரைவ மீனலோச்சாரி மலையத்வஜன் மாதவாமி காஞ்சனமாரி புதல்வி மகரா மலையத்வஜன் மாதவாமி காஞ்சனமாரி புதல்வி மகரா அலைமகள் கலைவர் அமுள் பரது அமுதே அமுள் பரகாது துணை தென் மதுரைவ மீனலோச்சாரி Thank you.
Okay, there seems to be a networking issue, Nirmala, madam. It was not fully audible. We'll look into it and rectify it as soon as possible. Well, at the outset, Sapon would like to thank Mrs. Sujata Krishnamurthy who has been instrumental in getting Vanitha on the show. Well, Sujata Krishnamurthy has been my childhood friend. We were in school together, and our friendship has lasted the test of time. It's close to 6 decades we have been knowing each other. Living in different continents, we are just a click away thanks to the technological advancement. Moving ahead, on the 15th of this month, Pongal was celebrated in the southern part of the country. So did we at Tapovan. We had a whole day of activity right from the morning till the evening. Let's have a look at the video which we had prepared. Well, the full video is available in my
Happy Pongal, Happy Pongal,
channel.
Happy Pongal, Happy Pongal, Happy Pongal,
Happy Pongal!
Happy Pongal,
Happy Pongal!
Happy Pongal, Happy Pongal,
Happy Pongal! Happy Pongal!
Happy Pongal.
Well, the full video is available in my YouTube channel, ladies and gentlemen. You can have a look at it when time permits you. Well, as we are going through the Pongal video, Sujata Krishnamurthy joins us all the way from Kalamazoo, Michigan, in US of A. Thank you, Sujata, for joining in, even though it's very much early in the day for you, close to breakfast time. And I've been mentioning about our friendship, which grew from the school days. And I also said it has stood the test of time, and we have been friends for the past 60 years or so. And technology has made it more simpler, being just a click away, even though we live in different continents. All right, moving ahead, get into the next segment of introduction of the guest speaker. Well, she's not new to us. She has been with us exactly 1 year ago. She was with us on 23rd of January 2023, and today she is here on 21st of January 2024. It's just about 1 year. Well, the introduction part will be done by Mrs. Gauri Swaminathan, who will do the honors for us. Gauri, madam, kindly unmute and to Solungu.
Good evening to everyone. And Subbu said it is 108th session. So 108 has always got a significance. So நம்ம தேங்காய் உடைக்கிறச்ச கூட பிள்ளையாருக்கு 108 தேங்காய் உடைக்கணும்னு தான் சொல்லுவோம். So 108 has got a very, very great significance. And today we have Vanitha Dutta, to speak to us on nutrition. Of course, in fact, about nutrition, we all know that it is having a balanced diet, regular balanced diet is what it is all about. Of course, we say protein, carbohydrate, fat, vitamins and minerals, and water, dietary fiber, all will have to be the constituents of balanced food. So in good old days, we used to think about who invented all this, this korakattai. Why should we put in so much of efforts to make a korakattai? And then why this kanjipuram idli? Why this different stuff? Why is that purposely? You can straight away, make a beans curry out of it. Why usli? So think about the innovation of elders those days. They added protein and vegetables together to make a purposely. And idli is again carbohydrate and protein. So everything they made, korakattai, outer layer is carb. Inside you have the dal and jaggery. Again, it is protein and sugar in the form of jaggery. So all this they thought about those days and made and gave us. In fact, we used to love eating paya sadam. And today it's become a fad. Everybody would like to have that paya sadam early morning and go out because it gives you so much of energy. Subbu was initially saying that the nutrition's impact, it contributes to physical and well-being, mental well-being both. Then it maintains and improves their immunity. And it increases focus because Vanitha has worked on child development nutrition. So that is the early development of a child in terms of physical and mental growth. Nutrition is extremely important. So it increases the focus. Then it delays the aging process. For example, vitamin C if you take, it delays the aging process. Vitamin E if you take. So all this we will hear from Vanitha Dutta. She has been working, Miss Vanitha Dutta has been working in the field of public health and nutrition for more than 2 decades. Her area of focus is the first 1,000 days of a child's life, which is extremely crucial. The first 3 years in child development are extremely crucial. So with attention on early childhood development and infant nutrition and young child nutrition. She works with UNICEF as the nutrition officer in the state of Rajasthan. So with all the this thing benefits accruing from nutrients in our life, macronutrients are protein, fat, and carbohydrate, and micronutrients are vitamins and minerals, and water and dietary fiber, of course. These are the 7 things which really contribute a lot to our well-being, both physically and mentally. As senior citizens, we are all ears to listen to nutrition, balanced food, etc. from Ms. Vanitha. Ms. Vanitha, over to you. A warm welcome to you on this forum. Welcome. And Sujata Krishnamurthy, special thanks to you for having arranged this, conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gauri Madam. That was a wonderful interaction with the usual excellent smile that you put on your face every time you come on the show. Thank you so much for the introduction. It's now time for the guest speaker to go, ladies and gentlemen. As always, we'll have Mike in mute status so that we do not disturb the third process of the speaker. On her completion, we will have an open session. Vanitha Dutta, the floor is all yours now.
Thank you so much, Subbu Mama and Gauri Mami. Thank you for the beautiful introduction. The way you put nutrition, it is as simple as that. But the point is, we don't realize that even being so simple, it is the most essential part of our daily life. It is an everyday science which we don't practice as we should. So thank you so much for introducing that. And as you rightly said, I work for the first 1,000 days. That is my core area of work, which I love doing. And you know why I love doing that? Because it is the most important stage of.
Vanitha, you're not fully audible. Maybe a little louder.
Okay, I said it is the most important stage of a child's life when the brain of the child develops. The first 2 years are the most important period when the brain development happens. And we think that all we need is lots of things. But it's actually the most simple thing that we need is only glucose that is required for the development of the brain of the child. And that is what we are unable to give to the child, and we don't have optimal brain development. So that is the reason we focus on the first 1000 days of a child's life, focusing on the most important part, that is the nutrition. And as Gauri Mami very beautifully said, that why do we make Korakatai, why do we make Parpushli? In the similar way, only in India we have Annaprashan, a time which is so scientific. When the child completes 6 months of age and the salivation starts, we introduce other foods apart from the mother's milk. So it is only the Indian, I think, the thought and the concept of Annaprashan, it started right in India long, long back, and it dates 5,000 years old. So we can well understand why we put that importance to nutrition of the child, and why it is so important, because unless we give the child that nutrition, the brain development doesn't happen. And the first 180 days of the child's life is when we have the 18 months of the child's life is the most crucial period for the brain development. Even we see that the top of the head, it remains soft. The cranial, the part of the skull, it doesn't complete the circle. So there is still a soft part that is left. That is because the brain density is increasing, and all it needs is nutrition. So similar way, as we find that it is important for a child for the brain development, similarly for maintaining our everyday life, we need nutrition, and to the most utmost level, and in a very simplified form. So I would like to share my screen and share with you a presentation. Can I share my screen?
Yeah, yeah, yes, please.
Thank you. Right. So this is my presentation here. This is on the importance of nutrition for the elderly. So what do we mean when we call someone elderly? Elderly are the individuals who are above 60 years of age, as per the WHO definition. And presently in India, we have got 10% of the population who are elderly, who are above 60 years of age. So what does aging do to us? Aging actually brings about multiple changes in our lives. It brings changes in our appetite. We don't feel like having much food. People skip meals. Then uh, because of multiple reasons, because people might have diabetes, people might have blood pressure. So with all those conditions, the seniors, they don't tend to eat food and don't get proper nutrition that is very much essential for them. Secondly, is we have got a recommended dietary allowance that is already prescribed by the National Institute of Nutrition. And for the elderly, the standards are set at a weight who has a weight of 55 kgs requires 1500 calories, while someone with age 65 requires around 1700 calories. And there was a study that was done in India around 2, 3 years back, that is the longitudinal aging study. And that report says that in India, that quarter of these aged, that is 25% of this above 60 years of age, are underweight. That means they don't take proper nutrition. And one-fifth of the elderly are found to be overweight or obese. So what we cannot just say that they are mostly underweight or mostly obese. We already have a problem of double burden of nutrition. That is what we call a double burden, when we have both undernutrition as well as overnutrition among the population. That too among the elderly population in the country. So what aging does to us? Aging actually, it impacts and affects most of the body systems. There is a decline in physical activity, that there is a decline in digestion, metabolism, the bone mass, and the muscle mass. There is failing eyesight, and there is also a problem with the hearing. There is low appetite, because with inability to see and to hear, you also lose the smell of taste, you also lose the smell, and so you cannot get the taste. Old age people have dental problems, they have changes in the GI tract that leads to constipation, and decreased physical activity leads to overall improper absorption of nutrients. There is inability to prepare food. Economic dependency is another issue, and other psychosocial problems that affects the health and the nutritional status of an individual. So what it impacts is, first it impacts the digestive tract. As we age, we see that the hormones and the enzymes that are secreted in the body, they are not as per what it was when we were young. We usually find that there is a decrease in a digestive enzyme that is called lactase, and this it does not allow lactose to be digested by the body. So many people who have lactose intolerance face it because of the decrease in the enzyme called lactase. Similarly, due to there is a lot of constipation among seniors, it is found they don't tend to drink a lot of water. The digestive juices in the stomach, they are reduced. They are not secreted as it has to be. And that slows down the process in the small intestine. And thus, we suffer from constipation. So, digestive tract is the first thing that is impacted with aging. Second organ that usually comes in is the liver. And other organs are also equally uh, affected by aging. Since the cells start dying, the regeneration of these cells do not take place, and thus it leads to a decrease in the cells and decrease in the ability of that organ to function properly, either to emit that enzyme or to secrete that enzyme. Such things also facilitate, and it also supports. It does not support the body. It does not support the body, and we are unable to produce any such enzymes. Oh, sorry for the disturbance. There's a small kid around. We find that healthy people, they do not lose the brain cells, but what happens is they have the nerve disorders because the nerves they disintegrate, and that leads to neurodegenerative disorders, that leads to Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. So these all these cells, right from the uh, brain to the toe, are all affected. So are the bones and the joints. Women face a major problem of osteoporosis and osteomalacia, which is very common. Osteoporosis is when the bone cells, the bones, they become simple like sponge. They lose the calcium that is deposited on it. So when they lose this calcium, that's why it is important that they drink milk. But at the same time, the gut doesn't allow the milk to be digested because of lack of the enzyme called lactase. So we don't get calcium from the milk, and the bone density it loses, and this makes the bone become like a sponge. That is the reason we have osteoporosis, and the bones have a tendency to break. There is another condition that is called osteomalacia, where there is an excess deposition of calcium on the bones. That also leads to breaking the bones and making the bone fragile. Aging also reduces the muscle mass, and the strength also reduces. So it is always recommended that there should be a constant exercise which is to be very moderate, that needs to be conducted by the individual so that the muscles remain active and they don't lose the elasticity in them, and they don't make it inactive, because there are multiple factors that are associated with it. So we should ensure that there is a constant exercise that happens. People should be recommended to walk, not to sit idle. So there, I will come with these things in later in my slide. So you will find that with old age, these four things that happen to us, right from the gut to the brain to the liver to the kidney to the muscles and to the bones. So, how it also impacts our immunity? Because if we see that there are many such conditions when even the vaccines don't work on it, as we had seen in COVID, which had made the elderly the most vulnerable category of people because the immunity declines. It is essential to maintain immunity and for that reason it is important that we have a proper nutrition in place that will facilitate healing process and will also help the body to produce and secrete the whatever hormones and enzymes that are being secreted by it and to keep it continuous and to have such foods that will also boost our immunity and will help us have a better health during these times. And this will facilitate and help us in reducing the infectious diseases that we are prone to suffer from. So, how can we remain active? Because this is a time when the body doesn't be the same as it wants to be or is as it was. The majority of the health problem is mainly nutrition related. It comes mainly from the nutrition perspective. Because if you have a very nutritious diet, there is already a it's already a compromise that we have that the body is unable to absorb all the nutrients that are given to it. So it is important that we give it antioxidants. As Gauri Mami said, that we need to have vitamin C. Yes, vitamin C is an antioxidant. Vitamin E is an antioxidant. So these antioxidants are very important for the body as that will help in keeping the cells and the nerves intact. It will not uh, it will protect the cells and the nerve endings getting degenerated and it will be protected with the antioxidants that are available to the body. There should be a comfortable level of physical activity that should be carried out by the people and not a very sedentary life should be maintained. There should be exercise, but not very vigorous. It should be something very positive and something very like brisk walking in a very open space. And as research also suggests, that it should be done not together for 30 minutes or 40 minutes, but in a 10-minute slot every day, that to 3 to 4 times a day. That will also facilitate and enable the nerves and the muscles to remain elastic and will have mobility, and mobility issues will be reduced. So all this needs nutrition. So what should be an elderly person eating? So I have showed here some portion sizes which we have to keep in mind. This is a 300 ml glass and we need to drink 8 glasses of water, 1 full glass of milk if possible, or to have curd. That should be around 300 ml milk should be set into curd and that curd should be taken. Secondly, we should have minimum 400 grams of vegetables and fruits. And vegetable doesn't mean only one single vegetable. The more colorful your plate is, it will be more helpful and beneficial because we need to have leaves and fibers. A vegetarian diet, it has loads of fibers. We need to incorporate as many colors as possible because that will make it uh, a colorful plate will give your gut all the essential nutrients that are required by the body. So we should have nearly 400 grams of vegetables and fruits. We should restrict our oil to just 20 grams per day. So this is a small teaspoon, and here is a tablespoon. Together, teaspoon and 1 tablespoon together will make 20 grams of oil. And this 20 ml of oil is what we have to consume throughout the day. We don't have the liberty to have loads of oil. We should avoid using ghee, butter, vanaspati, coconut oil. We should ensure that we have nutrient rich foods like calcium rich and micronutrient rich apart from the cereals and fibers because these vegetables and fruits will give us all the required nutrients like calcium and other micronutrients which are required in very small amounts like vitamins and minerals are the micronutrients and the macronutrients are the carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. And we, as I said, we need 200 to 300 ml of milk daily or milk products, 400 grams of vegetables, and we need a diet which is very soft and less salty and less spicy. Earlier, we are not using oil. We are also reducing on the quantity of salt and spice. We should have small quantities of food throughout the day at frequent intervals, and we should maintain a proper hydration level because that is what will facilitate your bowel movement. Otherwise, we will lead into constipation. So this is a plate which I had already shown in my last presentation also, because this is a plate. This is called My Plate, as is popularly called by the National Institute of Nutrition, and that is at Hyderabad. So they have developed this one plate which shows that how it keeps a person hale and hearty, be it elderly, be it a child, or any person of any age group. This is my plate for the day, and this is what we have to consume. When we don't have non-vegetarian things, foods, we can substitute it with proteins, mainly from the milk, from the cheese, and from the paneer if we want to. Otherwise, we have got curd, which will suffice. And we can have all these cereals and pulses. The pulses and the nuts will also give us the required nutrition that is essential for the body. So, what we need to remember is to have a nutrient rich food and we have to have variety. That is the reason the My Plate shows all the vegetables and fruits in all the colors that is available around you. And we should match the food intake with the physical activity. One should not be consuming loads of food because that will make overload of sugar in the body. So we should have physical activity in order to metabolize the food that we have consumed. We have to eat food in divided portions, multiple portions, no fried and salty and spicy. We need to have lots of water and regular exercise. One has to avoid smoking and chewing of tobacco. One should check for regular blood pressure and blood sugar and avoid self medication, which is very common, which we have a tendency to do. So, this is a small portion size of raw materials, and this is uh, the standard size or the portion sizes which are we have to refer to. Here is a small the davra which we have for our coffee is the ideal one for 200 ml, and that is a standard size which we can use. So this is cereals, pulses, eggs, meat, fish and chicken, milk, roots and tubers, green leafy vegetables, other vegetables, fruits and sugars and vegetable fats. This is what we should be having throughout the day, and this is the quantity that is to be consumed. And then this is the size of the teaspoon and the quantity that will help us in assessing the quantity of oil that we need to take, and also to take the quantity of whatever portion of food that should be of 200 ml that should be consumed using this standard portion size. For a good hydration, we need 6 to 8 glasses of water. And this water, not necessarily that it only has to be water. It can be juice, it can be tea, it can be charge or the more which we have for our usually in the summer seasons. The more is the very beautiful and a very balanced fluid that we can consume to keep the body rehydrated. There are issues when elderly people find it difficult and they don't have a tendency to eat food. The reasons being they have a difficulty in chewing. The teeth are not very well in a very good condition, and that does not enable them having a proper chew their food, and that also leads to digestive problems. So one should ensure that the food that is cooked for the elderly is soft and is easily chewable by them. Elder people also have a tendency of a loss of smell or taste. So adding different spices and herbs in very little quantity helps because the moment you get the smell of the food, the salivation happens, and that in turn helps the body to produce the required enzymes in whatever small quantity it is producing, and that only enables the digestion and absorption of food into the system. Generally, it takes 8 hours to absorb the food that is consumed. So, 8 hours is the time that has to be given for the full food to be totally consumed and absorbed. That does not restrict anyone from having small portions of food that is required by them. There is another reason why people also don't like to eat food is because of living alone. They have a tendency of not going for shopping. They don't want to cook. They don't want to eat when they are not with people. So staying with many people around oneself enables to have multiple things to be done, and there is also the appetite loss that happens doesn't happen, and that enables a person to have some food seeing some people around. But it is not only that it is important that we need to look only into the food aspect. One also needs to have a proper sleep that is the most fundamental for a physical health. And also to have a proper mental health, you need to have proper 8 hours of sleep that is of quality sleep that is required by the body. Second is the nutrient rich diet that we have discussed. And there should be a regular exercise, that is a regular physical activity that will make the moods better. Simple walk or a brisk walking or a simple jog will enable the body to be flexible and to remain active. At least a minimum 30 minutes of exercise is required on most of the days of the week, and it is said to do 10 minute slots of this exercise 3 to 4 times a day so that the body remains active. There is also how you have to manage stress because multiple things keep adding to the stress. People are unable to move. So, the inability of the body to move around also brings in a lot of stress. So, we need to practice deep breathing exercises that will enable the person to come out of the stress. And deep breathing also calms the nervous system, it lowers the heart rate and reduces the secretion of stress hormones like cortisols. Similarly, mindfulness and meditation is also very important. One can start short guided meditation sessions and increase the duration. So, because meditation and mindfulness will ensure that one is not having the stress and the anxiety that one is facing is tranquilized and is it comes down to a much lower level. So it is important to have these things along with nutrition for a proper and a healthy uh, aging process. One can also have to find one is also important to find new hobbies because this is not an age where you are expected to walk and run around. So what you need to do is to ensure that you try to find new hobbies that one second, Babu. 1 minute. Sorry, 1 minute. Yeah. So one needs to see for new experiences, what they want to do, how they want to explore these interests. They need to have a socializing group, which I find you have a very good socializing group that keeps the person, individual happy. And these groups will help in making a person come out of isolation, help the person have a better and a proper mental health. It is also recommended that during this time one should pursue hobbies that brings happiness to them. It can be knitting, it can be gardening, it can be painting, it can be drawing, it can be playing an instrument, or even singing. As I saw that the first prayer was done so beautifully by that mommy, and it is very important that it keeps the mind and the system very happy and ensures that these activities help in excreting and secretion of the hormones that elevate the mood and the mood levels. In case we have an issue of the elderly where they have to reach out to need some help, they need to call this number. This is the Government of India's helpline number for the elderly. So anyone, it is available 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And for any reason, they can call in for a doctor, they can call for guidance, they can call for support, and they can also call for intervention. They can also, this helpline is a number which you all need to save in. That will also support you and will help you to find any sort of uh, support that is required at any point of time. You might also get professional help here. You can talk to people, and this will facilitate in getting you more support and more uh, persons to talk to. So that is all about the presentation I did today. Thank you so much. I was trying to go very slow so that I don't miss out on anything.
It was an
Thank you so much.
awesome presentation, Vanitha, as always, as even the last time also
Thank
we had a
you.
wonderful presentation. You've given a lot of input, a lot of information, and a lot of guidance notes also, which we need to follow. But I would not want to waste much time, open up the session because others might have a lot of questions to ask. Ladies and gentlemen,
Sure,
kindly
sure.
open up mic and Sulu.
Yeah.
Vanitha ji, I have got a question to ask.
Yes, please.
Dementia and Alzheimer's.
Hmm.
You know, it is becoming pretty common these
Vanitha, put
days.
on your video, please.
So I just would like to know whether there are any specific nutrients, just as a preventive measure. You can't probably stop it. You can slow it down. Because my mother had Parkinson's. I saw her suffering for about 7 years in Parkinson's, and we were not able to really arrest the progress of it.
Yes.
So dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, is there any kind of a preventive stuff, any mental activity or nutrient intake, anything could help as a
Right.
prevention?
This is actually this is a very common problem that is around, and that is very much it's increasing also day by day. But there is no such nutrient that will prevent it. But yes, antioxidants, as I said, that is vitamin A, D, E, and K, and vitamin C, these are antioxidants. If they are consumed, that prevents degeneration of the cells. So that will enable in delaying the dementia or Parkinson's. But there is no guarantee. It is only as a preventive. It is you're just trying to keep the cells intact so the degeneration doesn't happen. So that is what we can prescribe. Otherwise, it is more into the mental well-being that is very much essential because of the stress that is happening. One needs to have a proper mental health. There is a need for proper meditation exercises that need to be done. I don't know how much, there is no such research that says that these things will help or to what extent it will help. But yes, this is a possibility that these things might delay the process.
Yeah.
I will also try to find out if there is any such research around this area, and I will
Yeah.
surely share it with your group.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. And also about millets, I wanted to know,
Yes.
does it, one school of thought is that it doesn't get digested easily, like
Mhm.
rice. Rice
Right.
gets digested pretty fast.
Mm.
Whereas if you take a millet like a fox millet or
Mm. There are
kudrewali
multiple,
stuff and all
yes.
that, whether
Mm.
it gets digested easily by the elders or not, that is one
Okay.
issue which we have.
Right. Millets are the superfoods. Before coming to rice, we were all surviving on millets.
Mm.
If we trace our DNA back, we were all having millets.
Mm.
Then came the revolution to grow rice, the green revolution, right? So, what it is millets in our DNA, we can, as our DNA remembers, we can digest all the millets. The point is how we cook the millet. You have to soak the millet for 2 hours before cooking it. So that enables the fibers in it to absorb the water.
Water.
Yes. And the moment it absorbs that water, it has swollen up. If it is cooked and then consumed, it will also be easily digested. And similar further, it will also enable to release sugar very slowly.
Okay.
They are all very low glycemic index foods. The sugar that is the carbohydrate part that is there in it, it will get absorbed in a very late intervals. And it will also be metabolized in such a way that it will be released very late. So one needs to see to it that we can have millets, and the millets need to be soaked properly.
Soaked.
It is the
Yes.
cooking process that has to be properly followed.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vanitha.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Sujata, go ahead.
Yes, my dear.
Unmute your mic,
Unmute.
please.
Mike.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Excellent topic, Vanitha, and your presentation was, as usual, extremely
Thank you.
educational and informative. And you touched all the points which are very, very relevant to the people who are in the not only senior homes, also seniors who are listening to this. So this is one of the presentation where it goes directly to the seniors. Most people go totally off the, tangentially they go off the thing, then nothing relevant to the seniors. But your presentation was excellent. I just
Thank you.
have just 3 points I would like to bring it to attention. One is like we generally don't, especially in India, they don't have the habit of taking multivitamins on a daily basis. Yes, whatever we eat doesn't get absorbed in the body. Most of it is gone as waste. So at least people who are able to afford. I understand in India everybody cannot go and buy, a 500 rupees, a bottle of multivitamin for women or men 50 and over and things like that. But I think that is something even people who can afford, they don't seem to be encouraged by either even
Yes.
doctors. Even some of my friends, when I talk to, they say, "Oh, I went to the doctor. He said just take vitamin C or calcium." But I think a multivitamin on a daily intake can be very, very useful, beneficial. And then number two is, I think in general, everybody, especially Indians in India, they should seek mental health without any taboo, because it is always a taboo that people think that if you go to a psychiatrist, that means you are, you are mad, you are crazy. But that's not what one should feel. Especially elderly, they feel very lonely. They are away from their family. The children are not around, and sometimes spouse is not around, and sometimes they may not have kids. Not that everybody has kids. So that is a very vulnerable, I think, population who needs actually counseling. I think a counselor can come to this, should be asked or invited to come and give a talk on a regular basis to in the senior homes, so that they have somebody one on one to talk to. They feel sometimes depressed, they feel bad. Physically, as you said, when you're depleted, you don't feel like you feel mentally depleted too. So I think that is one but there was one thing. And also number three is go to a nutritionist like you, like somebody who is um, educated. You are a professional, right? People should have the habit of going to a nutritionist. Yes, you gave a very good idea, but like I had to go too when my last after my physical, I found that my sugar level was high. My A1C was way beyond what it should be. So then my doctor said that, hey, go and talk to a diabetic nutritionist, the one nutritionist who is specializes in diabetes. Or go to, so if somebody has a stroke, go to a nutritionist who specializes in heart tissues. So I think I think we need to encourage people, because most of the people in these senior homes, they are well off, they have the money, but sometimes they don't know how to get the resources or where to get the resources. I think so. Inviting a nutritionist like you, yes, it's excellent. You gave a talk, but then exactly, are people really taking one cup and measuring the amount of rice we are taking? See, only when I went to the doctor, I really knew. He said, "Hey, you should take only 1/3 of a cup of cooked rice." I said, "What?" He has, do Indians eat more than 1 cup? I said, "You will be surprised." We have a multiple course. Actually, we eat with rasam, one with sambar, then rasam, then yogurt. So it's actually 3 cups. So it is way beyond. That is for one meal. So that kind of, yes, when you showed it, we understand. Oh, wow, we have been really overeating, right? So those kind of, I think it is very good. Like, inviting you to give a talk is like amazing, because really, your talk is like an eye opener. So many people don't understand. So next time when you go to eat your breakfast or lunch, hey, instead of taking 3 idlis, I should be eating only 1 idli or 1.5, or instead of eating three, rice for sambar, rasam, and yogurt, maybe I will take it and divide it into 3 portions. So see, that's very, very important. So I really enjoyed your talk, and I thought I would just give some suggestions and how it has helped me change my way of thinking. Because when we eat, we have to be also mindful when we eat. How we approach food, what is our connection to food? Are we eating because we are feeling depressed? Are you feeling we are bored? Are you eating just because we are watching a TV? So those kind of things is very important. So counseling nutritionally and also for mental health, these are very important, and I think there will be more emphasis on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Sajasa, for your valuable inputs. Then one point which I would like to make is all that you said about nutrition is and all exact, I mean, it's really fine. Then works on individual basis. In a facility like that of ours in Tapovan, we have a common kitchen. And about say 80 to 100 people have dined together. You cannot be personally attached to one individual. You need to make a mix and match. The food caterer cannot work for everyone. He has to do a balancing act, make a mix and match and provide to us. So that could help someone, could not may not help others. So it all depends. We all try to live that way, and hopefully we'll all live well. Thank you so much. Saraswati.
Yes. Vanitha, dear, I wanted to be in this, but unfortunately, I was out and I could not. I came running, as early, and also I was traveling. I was just listening to you. I couldn't listen full. I'll listen afterwards. And of course, I heard Sujata's. Sujata's was nice, and I'll hear yours also. Okay. Nice to see you, and always yours is very interesting. And all the best. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Mm.
And yes, rightly said, we don't look into those
Mike, please.
Yeah, I said we don't look into the aspects what Sujata was actually mentioning. We need to look into the food, how we eat it, what proportion of food we consume, and how in small portions we need to consume food. Because the body is not in a state to absorb all the food that is put into it. The enzymes are not there. So we need to have small portions of food. Similarly, we need to have activity also. We need to keep ourselves active. We also need to ensure that mental health is something that is looked into. It is not that we need to have, if we go to a psychologist, it doesn't mean that it is we are mad. We need to talk to someone. Talking is something because what I found that when I was staying with kids around me, I was not falling sick. But when I find that I am having kids around me, I am very happy. I am trying to be active, and my sugar levels are also down. So, these kids, they keep you active, they keep you into some activity, and they always keep the brain in a constant thinking process. You're either talking to them, you're either sitting with them, you're either telling them stories. All these things enable the body to also. I have a small kid with me here. He keeps coming. Say hello. So this small kid, he keeps coming to our place. And this kid, he keeps me happy and keeps me running. So when the kids are around, I feel that they keep us active. So even in these old age homes, if one or two kids can be brought from some place, if some kids are around, if there is also a small orphanage there, that will also reduce the stress and the fatigue level of the old people. The research states that with kids in old age homes, like orphanages around old age homes, helps both the kids as well as the elderly people. The answer to reduce dementia, to reduce Parkinson's, is through being active. So we need to follow these things, and new such guidelines are coming up by the government and the ministry where they are planning such old age homes. And to go to a nutritionist, it is as simple as going to a doctor. All you need to know is what you need to eat, how much you need to eat, and how you should be consuming or cooking your food. So it is quite, uh, these things are very easily available, and even online sessions are conducted like this. So you need to connect to a dietitian who are usually associated mainly with the hospitals. So these are the few things that I wanted to share. Thank you so much, Suchu. Thank you so much, Saraswati Auntie. Actually, Suchu is my chitti, and she is the one who connected me to your group. Thank you so much.
Okay, an additional information. Me, Sujata, and Saraswati have been schoolmates, classmates, having grown
I
up
know,
together in the
yes.
city of Kolkata. Though we are living away from each other, but then we connect each other through, the technology. All right,
Right.
ladies and gentlemen, we go to the final segment of summarizing the talk of Prabhu, the word of thanks. Mr. Subramanian, our secretary, the opponent, will do the honors. Subramanian, sir, please go ahead.
I hope I am audible.
Yes, sir, you're not visible.
Am I?
Fine.
Okay. That was a nice talk by you, madam, for the evening. It is like a concentrated elixir what you are given, covering various facets of the nutrition, lifestyle, keeping oneself mentally engaged, physically active, eating what needs to be eaten, etc., etc. And I hope we are able to follow, certainly not whatever you have recommended or informed us, but at least we have made a beginning after your last lecture. We will be able to give another fillip to that. We are exceptionally thankful to Madam Nirmala Gurunathan from Bangalore, singing in praise of Madurai Meenakshi. There was an audio problem, but all the same, we could hear quite a lot of it. And the person who introduced, Mrs. Gauri Swaminathan, took pride being the person who introduces the speaker on the 108th episode. And I also should share that. And she praised some of the older foods like kodakatai, parupusuli, and of course, they made us go to our olden days when these were made and given to us, and we enjoyed. And certainly, the very thought and very talk of yours brought almost the taste of the food you were mentioning. And pared has become a very important food these days, good, because the only best source for vegetarians of vitamin B12 is in Padedirathadnala. People don't throw it out these days, and they do use it after soaking it in water overnight. That is a good trend that has come. The awareness of nutrition has really been catching up in this country. Though it has made inroads once into the higher echelons of the society, it has a long way to go to penetrate and go to the lower levels. Nutrition during child development, which is Madam Datta's specialty area, gave a lot of information. And you said nutrition and balanced food for senior citizens are pretty important. Though it seems very simple, it is pretty important. That is how you started your talk. And first 1,000 days in the child development, or rather brain development, is critical. First 2 years, uh, all of us have felt at the top of the head, there is a very soft portion in the head which progressively get closed over a period of time. And it is on account of the nutritious food the child takes and the brain developments that comes about. And you define who are the senior citizens, whoever is 60 years and older. And you said 10% of the population in India are coming into this group. This is rapidly growing in this country, and maybe a few decades from now, we will be like the Western countries when practically half of the population will be coming under this group. The education at this stage is pretty important. And you said 55 to 65 years need 1700 kilocalories per day. And you brought about, uh, you know, as Shakespeare said in one of his sonnets, youth I do adore thee, age I do abhor thee. Age, in some, when we are working, we want to get old. When we are old, we wish we were young, because the old age, uh, prevents you from entering into many of the things. And as the purpose of life is, after all, eating and sleeping. That is what the great sages in all over India have been telling. But when it gets restricted quite a lot because the metabolism is low, and you can't get the taste and smell of the food, you get bored, and your eyesight is failing, hearing is not good, and you want to pretend as if you are hearing. That is why the youngsters who come to the presentation uh, in the corporates do not take the crowd, especially the board members who consist of senior citizens. Though they are nodding their head, they are listening, because most of them are hard of hearing and they can't let it out, and they they sort of present as if they can hear, and that is a problem. Anyway, it is a part of life. And the problem is, you can't cook whatever you have been talking or what you wish to have. And except a few who have been living independent in this country, when I mean this country in India, most of the people are dependent on their children. And not that I'm trying to portray the difficulties in having a meaningful, nutritious nutrition in life. These are the constraints that are there, because in most of the households in cities, where the elderly people are forced to stay with the younger generation, they find themselves, because the younger generation have to work, both the husband and wife have to work, the children have to be woken up and pushed to school in the morning. Pushed to school means in the bus they should be put in, and they can't be cooking all these nutritious food what the elderly need and what they want. And many of the things we are forced to put up with the things. Uh, Very few are fortunate so that they can decide the nutrition what we need. And older cells function less well, this we know very well. And the number of cells in various critical parts of the body, like liver and kidneys, just get, the number keeps coming down. Bones and joints get affected. We find it quite difficult to walk. Once we sit down, getting up itself is an ordeal once you cross 70, most of us over here. And the muscles mass get reduced, and one has to walk and do exercise regularly. Uh, People fortunate in places like Tapovan are able to do that, but I'm not going to dwell over and over with the constraints. Uh, and wise man try to look for solutions and not dwell on problems. And I consider myself to be a wise guy, so I would like to go into the solutions and not into the problems as such. It affects the immunity, certainly. Whenever any problem comes about, the elders are the first to be affected. And how to remain active is a big question. Nutrition is one of the critical things. And the careful exercise, and uh, 3 to 4 times doing the exercise 10 minutes time is very good. So one has to create the habits in such a way that the normal life itself becomes a part of the exercise rather than doing it as we used to go in young age and do that. 8 glasses of water of 300 ml each is about 2.5 liters from all sources. Most of us drink less in this country. 400 grams of vegetables and fruits. It's very difficult. People over a period of time, they do not take too much of vegetables as such. And they are very particular about some of the fruits, what they like, and rest of the fruits find their place in fridge all the time. Oil per day, the moment you have couple of bhajiyas and 2 vadas, this quantum what you specified, 15 ml per day goes for a spin. And you said use ghee and butter. Yes, we need to use that. And pulses and paneer, and our protein, if they are vegetable, most of us listeners are vegetarians, find difficult to get the proteins because unfortunately the animals do maintain them and pass on to the non-vegetarians, and the nature forces you to hog a lot to get the same amount of protein. Nuts and seeds are good sources. And you said that you must have a colorful plate. You should avoid smoking. Fortunately, not many elder. The habit has been coming down. Unfortunately, it is picking up in the country again. And 2 things that are going in this country for the good or bad. One is alcoholism is going through the roof in this country. Non-vegetarianism is picking up. Hopefully, it is for something good. We hope so. And standard protein, good hydration is required. You talked about elderly problem. They can't chew. They do gulp it down because they don't have the teeth. And softer food we should try. And eventually keep oneself happy. And I see a lot of fights in our mess where people say the vegetable and the pulses are undercooked. The only way is to put it in a mixie and give it to them in the form of a paste, which kills all the taste that it has got. That is on the lighter side. Don't take me seriously. And laws of taste and smells, yes. You don't enjoy the same food what you loved as a child because you are not able to realize the taste and the aroma that comes with that. Living alone is a big problem in this country because no one has time. The moment you go and talk to any children, your grandchildren, in the year 19, the crowd has gone, vanished from your vicinity. So you need to be a child all the time. That is the only way. You said you live around with the child, but what I personally feel is become a child yourself. Keep the child alive in you. And 8 hours are required for digestion. Hardly we give this. Sleep of 7 to 9 hours, thanks to the idiot box and the serials that it shows. The many people think that they keep them entertained. They lose the quality sleep. Regular exercise, managing stress. Uh, we keep on wondering how to manage stress. I mean, it becomes automatically by virtue of the lifestyle we have had. We keep worrying about things which we have no control over. That is what is producing the stress. If you are able to understand this is out of my control, I can't do anything about it, we will be stress free. Socializing and connecting is good. Trying new things is good. And finding hobbies that boost your this thing. Unfortunately, as child, we have been told your time should be utilized usefully, gainfully. So hobbies we think is a waste of time. That slowly is coming down among the younger population, and the older are also this thing. Resuming your passions is difficult because you didn't develop any passion. Most of the time you are busy going and earning for yourself. Madam, don't get the impression I am very negative, but I am just telling you, we need to find solutions for these things, which is very hard. And only silver lining is this: the younger generation do understand these problems and do practice, so that eventually they will have a better old age than the present group of people who are there. And dementia and Alzheimer's, Gauri was very much interested in knowing. Madam, unfortunately, one can delay that. You can't prevent it. And Madam Sujata Krishnamurti brought about 3 points. Multivitamins we need to take. The moment you use the word vitamins, the prices are not controlled, they are sky high. And we need a counselor. This is a big stigma attached to a psychiatrist. And whenever you say you are taking counseling, people sympathize with you rather than understanding you. And uh, you know, getting a counselor to the place here, we need to find audience, because every citizen, senior citizen, thinks that he is the greatest counselor for others and confuse them further. And millets are superfood. I really appreciate the way to cook it. You need to soak for a couple of hours, cook them well. They maintain the sugar. Probably few of the the recipes that could be made. It cannot be dosha over and over again as they try to spread it. It doesn't work out. And some of the items like drinking a porridge or a cool is considered as a social stigma again. We need to overcome these things to have a healthy day. Fortunately, what is being done is consciousness is developed by you, by great people like you and the organizations, so that one day, maybe not this generation, which is already in the senior citizens group, the next group of people who are coming will do the thing. And I personally, and I wish every listener in this group to take a vote. Out of whatever we have, at least two of them they would follow. As Madam said, eating rice for rasam, eating rice with sambar, eating rice with morkodambu, eating rice with uh, dal, eating rice again with curd. Uh, they are all really bad, but unfortunately, we don't know what to replace it with that, because we need to develop, and habits die hard. And we really appreciate your giving lectures. By virtue of listening to you more and more, obviously and eventually, we will be moving towards our destination, and probably one day we would be there, at least not for ourselves. We would be able to preach the future generations, so that they are able to practice it and have a better old age than what we are having, and have a nutrition filled healthy old age. Thank you once again for your talk. We look forward to more, because listening more often builds a habit into us which we can't get away with it. And whatever we hear and we are told again and again will haunt us when we want to do some practice which is against our learning, and help us from many of the negative effects that will come out of whatever we have been doing. Thanks a lot. Look forward to hear from you more. Bye.
Thank you, Subramanian sir, for your wonderful submission as always. Thank you, Vanitha, for your valuable time. Thank you, Gauri madam, for the wonderful introduction. Thank you, Nirmala madam, for your excellent prayer to start with. The recording of this show will be uploaded to YouTube sometime tomorrow. A link will be provided. Kindly share the link as widely as possible for a wider and a broader coverage. And that's a wrap up all of us over here. Until we meet next, just wishing you all goodbye, good night, and Shubh Ratri.